Hey everybody, I'm going to show you a tofu breakfast scramble here. It's about time I made one. I've actually never made a tofu breakfast scramble before, so this is my first shot at it. So if you're watching this, that means it turned out, so that's awesome. If I'm looking a little rough today, it might be because I've had a cold lately, but anyways, let's keep rolling. So what I got here is some organic tofu, super firm. Got this at Meijer. Can get tofu just about anywhere. I'm having trouble finding tofu lately for some reason, but any tofu that's firm will do. Here I have a vine-ripe tomato that I'd like to add to this tofu scramble, and you can always skip that if you're not a big fan of tomato. I'm also personally going to add a jalapeno to my tofu because I like things spicy, but you can always skip that, of course. Now, to make our tofu scramble seem more like eggs, we're going to add some turmeric, which will add some color and flavor. It's my first time using it. Apparently it's a good antioxidant, good for inflammatory issues, so that'll be good. I'm also going to throw some salt on it. I just happen to have this seasoning salt, but you can just use plain salt. I'm also going to throw on a little cumin onto the tofu. And I just like the flavor of cumin, and I think it's going to add a unique, good taste to this scramble, make it a little bit more unique. So, now, moving past the tofu scramble, we're also going to add some potato to this breakfast, make it really well-rounded. This is a sweet potato. You could get any sort of potato you like. I just got the sweet potato because I like it the most. We're also going to have some sautéed kale on the side, because why not? This is a good time to get some kale in the diet. I'm also going to have some sausage with this, and you could definitely skip it if you like. This is a field roast sausage. It's got a lot of protein and flavor. It tastes great. But if you're going more whole food plant-based, you just skip it. But, you know, having some sausage with this, I think is going to be a good combo. We're also going to use some nutritional yeast on the tofu. This is going to give it a little bit of a cheesy flavor. That's what nutritional yeast is known for, also called nooch. And it does have natural B12 in there as well, so you're going to get some B12 with this. Now, if you're trying to avoid cost, or you can't find this easily, then you could skip it, but I do recommend getting this if you can. Finally, some more optional stuff. This is some pepper that I think I'm gonna like on the tofu. And that's it, let's make it. Okay, first thing we're gonna do is chop up the potato, because I know the potato is gonna take the most amount of time as far as cooking goes, so let's just chop it up. Alright, now that we got those potatoes done, let's also chop up the kale. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil to a non-stick pan with sort of a higher lid. You could always just use water instead, but I'm going to do some olive oil. There we go. Now let's throw the potatoes and kale into the pan. I kind of like that the kale is just on top of the potatoes right now. That'll do a little bit more of a steaming to it. Let's throw that on 6. We'll also put a lid on it. Alright, now we're going to get that sausage and jalapeno chopped up, get that ready to go. Okay, now that we got that taken care of, let's be sure to stir those potatoes and kale. And you can see that it is getting definitely a lot softer. That kale is a lot smaller. So looking good there. Let's add some seasonings. Let's give that a stir. That'll give it some flavor. And you can use any kind of seasoning. I made a video way back in the day where I used seasoning for meat on vegetables, and it'll always turn out pretty good, I think. So turn that down. I turned it down already to 3. Throw the lid back on. Okay, now it's about time we get that tofu going. So, open your tofu. I just got some of the tofu water in the pan. That's no big deal. That'll actually probably work out well. Now we're just going to crumble it up. So, just use your fingers and break it up. This is definitely the fun part. Already looks like scrambled eggs, so that's a great start right there. You don't have to worry about breaking it up into really fine pieces, because it'll actually break up even more as you're cooking it. So, this is really all you're looking for. I meant to add a little bit of olive oil. I'm going to do that. Okay, let's throw the burner on 6, and let's start adding those spices. Let's stir that up now. Throw in the sausage and jalapeno. Okay, looking good. I am going to add a bit more turmeric and cumin. You mustn't forget that nutritional yeast. Just dump it on, basically. Get that stuff cheesy. There. That already looks just like eggs to me. I basically can't tell the difference at all. So let's throw the lid on and let that do its job for a little bit. Okay, now while the tofu scramble is cooking, I just want to show you that the potatoes are done. You can tell because they got really soft, and the kale is nice and soft. That cooked down a lot. Probably could have added that later, but oh well. I added a little bit more seasoning and I tasted it. It tastes pretty good. So that is done, and I just turned it off. We're gonna throw a lid on there. Just waiting on the tofu scramble. All right, let's check on that tofu scramble. I was keeping the lid on there to make sure the moisture stays in. Flip it over, you can see it's browning on the other side, which is good, just like eggs would do. So this is very similar as it comes to cooking. You don't have to cook it for, you probably do want to cook it a little bit longer than eggs, but not much longer. So you can see everything mixing together well in there. Colors are looking good. Smells really good. So we're gonna give it 5 more minutes of cooking, I'd say, but let's give it a taste test, see if it needs more seasoning. Wow, the consistency is just like eggs. I'm shocked, because I've never made this before. Woo! Plenty of pepper, I'd say. It doesn't need any more pepper. I want it to have more flavor than what it has, so that should definitely do something. Let's give it 5 more minutes. So a total of 10 minutes cooking. Okay, it's looking good to me, so hopefully it turns out good. Okay, I forgot to add that tomato, but that's okay because tomato doesn't need to really cook if you don't want it to. And then if you're not a fan of tomato, then you can always just skip this part. But I'm going to slice it into wedges, like that. Let's give it a little salt and pepper. Now let's toss that into our tofu scramble. So there we go. Tofu scramble with some sausage, some jalapeno. Okay, now it is picture time and eating time. Okay guys, for some reason when I record these videos, I do it when I'm hungry, and I'm learning that's a bad idea because by the time I'm done, I'm starving. But let me taste this tofu scramble. My first time making tofu scramble. Hopefully this turned out, and I'm excited. Wow, yeah, that tastes good. There's a lot of spices. I think I added too much pepper. I'm getting a strong pepper kick. But I love having that nice juicy tomato in there. If you like tomato, definitely add that tomato at the end. That is a good idea. That tastes good. Obviously I buttered a piece of toast. Didn't include that in the video. I think we all know how to do that. So now it's time for the sweet. Now it's time for the sweet potato and kale. Let's see what I think of that. Well, to be honest, it cooled down a little bit since I've been trying to film everything, so probably would taste a little better warm, but it does taste good. It just basically tastes like sweet potato. I'm not getting a lot of the seasoning flavors in with this. The kale, I think I should have added that a little bit later. This tastes good. I definitely would recommend it for a big breakfast if you want to go big, and it is actually quite easy. I'm going to be making this more often for sure. The tofu scramble part, I mean, it looks just like eggs. I'm shocked by that. Glad that I finally, after 5 years of being vegan, have an egg option, an egg alternative that I like, so that's cool. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy this. Hope you make it, or maybe not. Either way, it doesn't matter. Have a good one. Take it easy. I'll talk to you later.